Okay, those of you who were absent this morning, can I come up to light the lamps? Maybe 10 is come. Those who were absent this morning.
For all the within mysteries given. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the within mysteries. With golden hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to learn and receive. With golden hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to learn and receive.
Oh yeah, that's right. Just delay.
With golden hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to receive. With golden hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to receive.
Oh, just delay. Namaskar. Sutam hai. Kya hai? Kya?
Just some light.
Aja, ठीक है.
For all the learners in this world.
With golden hands I
Namaskar.
beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to dwell in this place. Beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to dwell in this place.
Of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all to learn.
This is Somerset.
Okay, we welcome all of you here. It is great joy for all of us to be receiving today teaching from the most venerable Geshe Rinpoche. It's a great the opportunity for us. We turn to page 3 of the book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Otherwise, the booklet which is distributed, the Noble Mahayana Sutra, Rising Sutra. If you have this booklet, it's the same. This booklet. We turn to page 1 of the booklet. Given that this teaching is so precious, which is about dependent origination, which is about how to see the reality in the world of interdependency. And through this, we can get the benefit of the long-term benefit in terms of achieving total awakening and the ultimate happiness for yourself, for your family, for the larger, for the good of the larger number of sentient beings. And then immediately that we be free from the stress, tension, depression, and so forth. Because with this multiple benefits, why not we include your two parents and all your family members and all the other sentient beings in this course together, by visualizing them sitting next to you and all sentient beings. Meanwhile, let us not forget the refuge field, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who inspire us pertaining to the wisdom of emptiness, pertain to the wisdom to see the interconnectedness of everything, and also the unconditional love of Bodhicitta for all sentient beings. With that in mind, let us turn to page 1 and say this together. Imagine that you are Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, the precious teacher here. He is leading us, and then that you are being accompanied by all the sentient beings in this journey. So let us recite the stanzas together. And used by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And used by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma. And used by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. The next page. Sangye Joda Soge Chonam Na Chanju Bandu Dane Gyapsuch Tage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Venir Sangye Jobare Sho Sangye Choda Soge Chonam Chanju Bandu Dane Gyapsuch Tage Jinso Gebe Sonam Ge Dola Venir Sangye Jobare Sho Sangye Chodan Soge Chonam Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyapsu Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Tola Penjir Sangye Jobare Sho. I go for refuge and turn enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. Buddha for the all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation.
No permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the ultimate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught his beings with the speed of the Dharma. I prostrate to the mothers of the bearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads here, seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of God's all rules are helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience has subdued its found a variety of teachings. The
one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher of Sugata and the protector to Yamic frustrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualization, bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally visions for the forever noble life race. To you, the Buddha, make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I demand a full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, next we'll recite the mantra. This is very precious mantra. The mantra is referred to as the essence of dependent origination mantra, or Tendel Nyingbu Sunga. And this is the formula of the Seedling Sutra, which we're going to do for the next today and tomorrow. Taught by our teacher, Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche. So we'll recite this mantra three times. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagatu Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vadi Mahashramanaye Svaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagatu Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vadi Mahashramanaye Svaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Jayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashramanaya Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. It's taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration, free, clear light. Such a natural light dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the words. Pure utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unseized, and has the nature of space. It's the object apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times of the obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of the nature of suffering. All phenomena of the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for recognition the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of sin. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It's by teaching the truth of the substance that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, we will recite the Heart Sutra mantra. Heart Sutra mantra 5 times. Dhyata Om Gati Gati Aragati Arasangati Bodhi Swaha 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 Dhyata Om Gati Gati Aragati Arasangati Bodhi Swaha.
This one also. In the regime of the trauma, terribly he also talked about. Setting those and how to make sure that some day life all such a long. Then what they told choosing a mission also. Linging you the third dance on this. She don't need a tension shaker, Museum with the new Buddha Bello. Junior never thought in the laws, Children of the Song Guitars. Mara to Milus at the Tower, Jorba Chusa and Milus at the call. Lella Chideo Mara, this one the cool langing years. Young Amade, that Soma was such and Tari Langic, me, Lulu, Church of Alatel, tengi tsanga tsanga milu di togate, dari lenji so togate so sondo. Kasi, sindu nyega, tenju nyega, indo shi chitong lenji nyeba tewe tensan desi. Sindu nyega sko, nyega wens karis ni kyu kone, kyu tso de mambo nye, tukawa sonjane sindu nyega was, kyu kone nyega was. Ngo kone nyega wa tango nyega wa mambo tu tatanda, kyu hindi, kiawa pusun choba tuwe de kali khabu sonja ko nyega was, sindu nyega was. Di milu di to ne pe, ane sindu nyega tenshin sindu, tanda chenpo tuwe na, milu di sedi kyanjang tanda fa so chuba mayamba, kiawa ne kiawa pe tengi, en tanda chenpo tuwe tuwe ore songwa, di sindu nyega tenshin shi turnes. Nizhen kondo nyingbo yambelo kinchen mo kiawa shinsu. Ni kati yena ko, mesi tanda dambaliya, nizhen kondo ben ore songwa, ore di
First, making prostrations to the Buddha, and then citing the stanza to first of all identify as to how difficult it is, how in the first place how precious it is, how opportune we are to be able to have acquired this precious human birth, and this precious human birth which is endowed with this, which has the qualities of leisure and the 10 qualities of the endowment, meaning that we are endowed with the qualities in terms of your birth, that you'll be able to use the maximum of this birth in a very wholesome way and to get away from the negativities. And then this precious birth that we have achieved, this is something so, it is just once acquired, once achieved. It's not something that we can acquire, we can achieve this very easily. It's really very difficult to achieve that. And in terms of the causes and conditions required for anything, particularly for a noble work, to achieve a noble work, one must be able to have the proper causes and conditions gathered. And likewise, to achieve this, the precious human birth, the causes and conditions involved is something, the enormous amount of virtues. Without the virtues accumulated, that amount of virtues accumulated, the human birth that we have attained is not something that we can achieve. And then once you achieve that, we see that it has a tremendous capacity to accomplish incredibly the valuable goals in terms of the immediate benefits and long-term benefits in terms of get rid of all the suffering completely and achieve the maximum happiness. And so this aspiration to make the most of this precious human birth should be there with us days and night, not only just one moment, but try to retain this thought of the preciousness of this human birth and the power of this birth to take us to achieve a very noble task. This aspiration must be there of days and nights.
Well, oh, you can show that. Sanjay Jiden to Chambako, Sitasam, Jiden Kamsa in a Mansa to Geshe, Sanjay Mansan the Kaviskadwa. Tanda Sanjay Chamber Kapsita, Sanjay was Majene Tanda, Sanjay Tembako, Tuition Net, Kapsilunga Kera. Not the Sanjay Temple, Tanda to this gate out. I mean, I call Shematar Satan, and he has a Kasora, Wombamasa, the Tedicavena. She took away Coca Mato. That in the membership started. So she took in the two Choyage. Woke up social in the Sagoya Kagatam. And this Jillian come the Sago, Sanjay Jillian Chambal Soba. Today Kangatan de Gabriel. Tangara joining. Transaction which said the transaction for Malba. Joachim and Sima. Yes, on the Machi, me, your heart and me, your. Jama Tonda. Take your teeth into a little. Numo by Soba, thousands and by Soba, Chartown Soba Numo, Chundan, Tarwa in your dryer. Dear Ranchibu Maiba, Sinja Tanje, Rami Padamara Soba Kurba, Randan Raw, 대원들의 동행민도가 있는데 대다 탐지지 않은 대다 탐지기 더 그것이 윤대 군대의 기부시 자원량배 어떻게 donde siamo situati guardo oltre sono come sono
So to set a proper motivation to receive such teachings is that the realizing how precious it is for one to be born at a time in the era when the Buddha appeared. And then although the Buddha may not be at the moment with us, but his teachings are still vibrantly there, and we can really partake in the benefits of the teaching of the Buddha. And otherwise, there are times in terms of the eras, there are the more number of eras where the Buddha's teachings were totally absent, and the era where the Buddha's teachings are vibrant is so less as compared to the otherwise. And then should you take birth, during that era of the Buddha's appearance or the teachings of the Buddha remaining so vibrant, so even then we come across the places where people are born where you don't really hear the Buddha's teachings, and then in many cases people who are totally deprived of the faculties, proper faculties to reap the benefit of the receiving teachings of Buddha. And then with this encountering of the Buddha's teachings, if one is able to practice the Dhamma well, then we can aspire to make sure that next life, instead of taking birth in the lower realms, you take birth in the favorable states such as the human life or the gods and goddesses. And then the whole purpose of taking a favorable birth is to make sure that our mind improves all the time, that the mind which is very, the afflictive, very disturbed, with the full of the attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. See how we can mitigate the power of these negative thoughts, and see how we become more and more pure. And then not only that, how we can aspire to reap the benefit of cleansing the mind, not only for yourself, but for all your dear sentient beings, where the Buddha mentioned that it is all beings around you. They have been your parents, but they have been your mother, father, and so forth in your former lives. So we see that for them, I should be able to practice the Dharma. Eventually, I should awaken this Buddha nature within myself, that you become enlightened, you become fully awakened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this is the kind of the aspiration that we need to have to practice the Dharma.
어떻게 왔지만 사단 미다 근데 저라는 최종이야 자기기 유엔에서 다 뒤져 권유권데 통계게 밀리시도 그래서 뒤에도 내가 단대니 뭐 간데슬라고 그랬으나 영화 예수 권 미크가지고 스마라즈레나보다 하고 좀 메도 같은데 그거 말도 영화 예수 권에 샤라 진에게 쳐봐 샤라 진을 펴봐줘야 이렇게 왔지만 사단 미 그거한테 님이라고 그러라 근데 니리 메지나래야 고송이야 선자를 쳐와 드리는 분들 선자를 쳐와 마치 삼자 편바치는 쪽이 삼자 어디시는 저시만 예술을 마치 인사도 밀리게 인물하고 와라 어다가는 시대자 많이 봐 밀리 통나 밀리데 그 간도 대화시 그 말에 어디인데 간도 동네에 타로시고 개가나 시정하면 봐 개가나 시소가 녀면 거지 뒤에도 가는 인물하고 그러시나 당시 총수다, 나게 총수다, 차도 총수다, 차당의 녀모다, 납신내생을 쏘고, 녀모도 좀 총수다니, 녀모 세수나니 동에 탄도요도 타바토요도, 근데 메실라고 사장 일이 날 공도 총수당이 사자들이 공도 나게 차도를 쏘고 간 총수당고 상사 삼고라, 이제는 타르베 녀물랑기요라, 뭐 대자마이와 탐색해봐. 라지 무통을 탄들 말해서 심지어 밤마중에 심지어 탐색을 대시 통배시 라동에 나오는 신샤야 동에도 대화치고 그래 대화 타도를 토바치고 그래 이 현대 다시 맞춰 통하게 Tarale Fago Shenle Chetunga, Shenji Tunda Ralo Tatunge, Tindek Conseil, Dekunde Kibshigura Chago, some Niri Shenji Tun Bear, or Tindeshevani, Nimburam Pitas from the National Lambi Orto, or Tindin Yeri Samutana, and so or Tirin Tikan, so teach your master, teach your Tikan, teach your son, Kiwacha in the Kaokon. Madrid aka Madrid tama wati the mechas something. When you're in the church, Mezinari association you are that
There's what is known as the teaching of the three beings. The teaching for the small scope beings, the middle scope beings, and the great scope beings. Whole idea is how we can, they say, the make the most of our birth, this time the precious birth. So that is to be done on the three stages. One is to make sure that this life is not being wasted. Instead, we use it to make sure that at least we achieve a greater goal beyond what is today. That is next birth. Next birth is something meaningful, is something virtuous and wholesome birth. For that matter, we should resort to the conducive factors, conducive cause and conditions required to achieve the favorable birth next time. For that matter, we have to engage in a practice, a set of practice of the morality, refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions. And so the basic idea of the refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions is see how much we can do away from harming others and how much we can be of benefit to other beings. So the 10 non-virtuous actions, when we speak about the 10 non-virtuous actions, oftentimes we have a feeling that, okay, this is obvious, but in actuality, the more than what we know, we should make it a point that we actually practice, put them to practice, to refrain from the 10 non-virtuous actions. So in all, see how much you can refrain from harming others and see how much you can give benefit to other beings. So this is one step, the one stage. And then once you are successful in this step, then it is guaranteed that next life you will have the fruit of your effort of engaging the morality of refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions. The fruit is that you will have a favorable birth of the human birth or the god and goddess birth. So now the second step is more profound, where even if you take birth as a human being or god and goddess, and that is not still it is not something which is ultimate. So there we can relapse. So for that matter, while you take birth there, then see how to really how to use that as a stepping stone to acquire a lasting happiness, lasting freedom from suffering. So to achieve that lasting freedom, what really forbids us from achieving that freedom is the afflictive emotions within us. Such as attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth, and see how much we can put effort, invest effort to get rid of these afflictive emotions. See that on a daily basis, be mindful and see how to undermine, how to say the counteract the negative thoughts such as attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth to the best you can. So this is the second step. So once the negativities, negative thoughts, afflictions, they have got rid of, it is guaranteed that you are going to be freed from all forms of suffering altogether. Then the step number 3, teaching is meant for the great scope person. That is not only to think of this freedom for yourself, but to think of your true parents, to think of all the sentient beings, to build such the sense of courage, to take the responsibility upon yourself, to lead all other sentient beings, including parents, including children, to make sure that they also reach to that level of the perfection of freedom from suffering and the perfection of ultimate happiness. So this is something, with this aspiration, then one aspires to actually acquire that skill, acquire that quality to be able to be of that amount of benefit to sentient beings. For that, we need to achieve what is known as the full awakened state or Buddhahood. Now, this, if you're able to reflect on the teachings and the practices associated with the three beings, small scope beings, middle scope being, and the great scope being, then on a daily basis, reflect upon your own, your actions, your practices, and then see that towards the end of the day, see how much virtues you were able to engage in, to be of the greater meaning, to extract the meaning out of your life, and to see how much negativities you engaged in, and then the negativities that you have engaged in, see how much you can regret over these, and see how to rectify these in the future, and the virtues that you are able to engage in, see how much you can rejoice in these virtues. So if this is how one leads one's life, that is the meaning of life.
소소 좋아하는 지 정치제들이야 두분 맞추나서 두 맞추나서 아래 야가를 좋나서 삼부터 해지 요하라 니까가 뒤에는 뒤 삼부터 동해지 천디다 마도 대화대 천디 마도 겨울로 봐 유럽에 고토요 마도 뒤전달에 소신 대수 셰셰 zamul을 차셔나 고다부 tinpeke yujimarwa, tayi ne ko desi se kangba se, lamga se, kanga se, chi che dero kanga, changba tsewa to ni chi yuwa to, ja chi chung kaya mena, kange se kuto sa rangzi kanga se usam, tingi na tewa di kin kukuto samza. O ti ta tse desa mayi ba, tungi le so su tendo tawa si che kore sam, zo lu yo mara, so su mechi zo na tin di rang, le la she ra, zo yo mara. 그래서 동네를 땐도 다 챙겨서 많이 봐. 탑도 대화된 데 마치 유럽 나시게 되게 대화된 데 마치 고위 삼자 삼을 고위하라. 뒤코는다 뒤코도 소소지 현다 참마데 소소지 찍바인 배 삼도 계속 비서도. 사도는 신남버리시 고치를 고를 내가 전화 소소지 내가 전화 시쳐 미기바 연구를 삼사 펜버리 토스는 강의위원 펜버토는 가고 연구를 삼사 파줘야 되는 소소 나시게 초아 뒤도 용계인데 소라티요나 아니 차와지야다 판바투에서 공항게 연구했어도 어디 놓고 이게 좀 무시가했어요. 뒤에는 근데 잠보이나 다른데 미기와 빠한신의 초아바세데 제외 돈에 바바 거기 내비사자 라는 신미기 버차고 삼들 말 삼자고 사도면 신도 진짜 삼을 내고도 어떻게 삼로 되어야나 아니 미기와 초파 개와 초투세데 미기와 초파 세야데 동해시 동해의 트렌드 용도 개와 세야데 그 시간에 판바이 개와의 트렌드 정도 잠들 미들이야도 디아이 코네 콘디펜드 현재 임바성 통원되네 동해의 트렌드에서 동해 체시 통수나 대화 방법에 대화를 대나서 소수의 일이다 출루다 미리다 까마가 시에면 현재 거라 임바참게 뒤도 용게 임바참게 근데 삼 코트 게시때 이게 당해서도 아주 미게 주방 개와 주투세데 중중대 삼 코르데 산이벌 주진 퍼진 냠니셀로 모톡스데 미게 주방 주진 계속도 donde chen donde de tende na tawa tomde lodia konne konde pedia shuchen sanje fere doa what did you
it is very important to practice compassion and loving kindness. When we talk about the practice of loving kindness and compassion, first we begin with ourselves as to how I aspire for happiness and I want to shun the miseries. So this is how we begin with this. And then on that basis, then we can extend this to others. So this is where the whole teaching of the Buddha is grounded on what is known as the teaching of refraining from harming others. So the whole doctrine of the Buddha is grounded on compassion. And so how to cultivate this sense of love and affection towards others is with the recognition, the recognition that just as I want happiness, I don't want suffering, all others are equal in that respect. So I should not be seeing all others like it's just a piece of rock or inanimate objects. I should see them the way I want happiness, they also want happiness. The way I don't want suffering, they also don't want suffering. With this recognition, if you learn how to be, in the first place, how to be kind to yourself, and then on that basis, try to be kind to others, that would be very powerful. For example, let's say this world. Like many thousand years ago, this world, what we see today, of the very intricate, the roads and the buildings and the facilities, they were all totally missing, like many thousand years ago. And slowly, with the recognition that we want happiness, we don't want suffering, we need the ease with a life. So then they created all these facilities. This is how all this the cities and so forth, they came into being, meant to curb the problems of the beings and meant to enhance the happiness of others. So but this is where, say, the people, they work to, and all these magnificent structures they came into being, the infrastructures they came into being, with this aspiration that I want happiness, I don't want suffering. So now this is something that sensing that this is what is happening, and knowing that this is still very temporary, on the temporary level, and then this is confined to this life. So now somebody, if we probe a little deeper, we come to realize that the life that we have, the self that is with us now, this is not the end. When you die, it's not the end of the self. So through logic, through reasoning, we come to realize that this is not the end of the journey. So the journey is ongoing, although we may not be able to see it so evidently as with our eyes, when we see things with our eyes, but this is reality. So then the next one is the how to really curb the problems altogether, and how to acquire the maximum happiness eternally, whereby your happiness is never wavered and your suffering will not ever visit you again. So for that matter, say the practice of compassion, practice of loving, the kindness, which is so important. And how to practice this is, as said earlier, that the practice of refraining, for example, say like the grounded on compassion, then you will automatically refrain from harming others. Grounded on the loving kindness, you automatically will wish to provide happiness to others. So compassion is a mental state of love which wishes others to be freed from suffering, and the loving kindness is a mental state of love which wishes others to be endowed with happiness. With these two aspirations, automatically one will engage in the practice of refraining from the non-virtuous actions, particularly the 10 non-virtuous actions. And otherwise, oftentimes we take for granted that refraining from 10 non-virtuous is very simple, but it's not really that simple. This is like the hardcore of our practice. If you can do that on the basis of the acknowledging that compassion and the loving kindness, these two are the essence of the Buddha's teachings that will help us to engage in the negativities. Okay, so therefore we see that the refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions, this is the practice of the compassion, where it is it is defined as refraining from harming others. So, refraining from harming others, that constitutes compassion. And whereas the practice of the opposite of that, say, refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions, is the practice of the 10 virtues. So, the virtues, it encompasses what is known as the practice of the loving kindness, wanting to give happiness to others. So this is, if you're able to see the Buddha's teachings in the form of these two basic the instructions, the refrain from 10 non-virtuous actions and the embracing the 10 virtues, that is so important. And it's for this reason that the Bodhisattvas, when they reach the second level, second ground, when they reach the part of the meditation, the 10 bhumi, so the 10 bhumi, second bhumi is particularly characterized as the bodhisattvas who gain expertise in the practice of morality. So that is the morality of refraining from the 10 non-virtuous actions.
Oh yeah, tatunda. Oh, shana chapa chini pamba tumi kona. Ani kyo shima milune tatami koba ringi to chibu samsa. Kyo ne kyo chitu chibu. Oh, teni teza maiba ko le tendu tabi chibu. Chawdangi nyomola soba se tondali abeni. Tungi tamje kante tarba toba cha samsa. Tia rachibu maiba shen sinje tamje tarba lango tobe. Landur gine chiji malo shinge rankyo kunse yende kunde dikibu sanje je koba toba chabu yosam. Te chido teni te topche ke lang sanje chwe nye nyambe kunu chaju sembi sembe kone semba shosam shana.
So it is through this pattern of understanding that the whole purpose of practice Dharma and the mechanism by which you practice Dharma and the modality by which you practice Dharma is starting from the first point that in the first place I should strive to engage in the practices which will guarantee that I'll have a favorable birth next life by engaging in the practice of the 10 virtues or practice of the refrain from 10 non-virtuous actions. First step. Second step is not only that I achieve a favorable birth next time, but why not I think of cutting the miseries altogether, cutting the unease altogether, to achieve the lasting happiness or eternal liberation, perfect nirvana. And then the step number 3 is how to share this aspiration with all the sentient beings. How can I best be of benefit to all sentient beings by achieving all the good qualities and by abandoning all the negativities, and thus achieve the state of total awakening, Buddhahood. And with this basic structure in mind, and finally aspiring to achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings, with this aspiration, we are then to listen to the teachings.
No, yeah, that several jambe dos share the door. Several jambe do de sanje sundenge ani ka so de shinga sunum do de jagba o te de je kete se si je ne fondwa de ka so de several jambe do share the door de jagba de mo te de se te si je ani so sombara. This way, I can't say, oh, Jamba, I'm not in the theatre. You don't care to tell about give you orders. Again, the song for not in the day over there. Oh, Tina, you didn't got there. You don't care to tell you orders. She just same day, Mida, Rada, Hamayida. Couldn't you tell the tree same day, the mother Mambo ordo. Around the chief, Medoda Chashana, Chala, the Chashana, Yangi Mambo. Pijun again, Pijun, Jigan come down, Yada, Pijay, Yakshu, Sunday, or they saw that. Then I said, around Jigan come down, me, Gawada, Tizoleko, Pijun, around the tone of Madonna Mabuchi, or today, you couldn't catch a lieutenant Joey or Matuchi, Shenda Jivi, so we are Mares, Tisoba. Piggy, around it to do, Kitandalia, social education, so much. Shendaji Materi has which you some time you are Marisoda. So the social Carson social symptom, social symptom that Chubby yard than the Yardora. Simply change a get up which is and cancer the Yardora. But then the social symptom, socially can passing and then create social symptom, social symptom Matuchi. Shendaji says you some location teaching the whole day on the sum of the matter. the solution that they could so the Tani Dago going to send social quantity. Let them members of Tani Dago base. So get to us shoulders. Social mount becoming social set to us shoulders. The project is a shell gadget condition, Sandy Children, the Tambaron, Tambas go along to Tambabo, the runners, Kera Subanashi, Kera Kavashing is Tenashi, and the Taxi Chilling Siordo. Longish the coup is the lamb to get the code. So social shoulders or the Chixoda, the tradition.
So the teaching for today and tomorrow is the Noble Mahayana Sutra, the rice seedling. So the how this teaching came into being was that once the Buddha Shakyamuni was walking with rambling with the disciples. At one point, the Buddha came across the rice field where the rice seedlings were growing there. So at that point, then this sutra was taught, and the essence of what this sutra is that just as this rice seedling came into being only through dependence on its corresponding causes and conditions. Likewise, anything that you see in this universe, in this world, in terms of the external, the habitat, the world in which we live, the universe in which we live, we see that this universe came into existence only by dependence on the causes and conditions. Likewise, the beings who are the inhabitants of this universe, they also come into being by dependence on causes and conditions. Saying that within the beings, for example, we see that there are the human beings, the animals, the god and goddesses, and so many kinds of beings are there. And why the beings, they differ so much in the aspects, appearance, and so forth, is all because of the variations in the causes and conditions. So the Buddha was so emphatic in this teaching, the Seedling Sutra, Śālistambasutra, that we need to keep in mind that everything is coming to being. All these, the external world and the internal world of the sentients, the beings, they all come into being. For example, say some have a very appealing dog, some do not have that appealing dog. It's all because of the causes and conditions, and the causes and conditions is not something that you came into being in this particular form because of there's some external agent which determines who you're going to be like. This is not the case. It's all the causes and conditions are all from your side. There's no external agent which is responsible to creating who you are. We are not to really blame on external agents. We are not to really say that we remain complacent and expecting that somebody else is there to do things for us. This is not the case. The point is that the Buddha said that you are the benefactor of yourself, you are the savior of yourself, and you are also the witness for the good things and the bad things that you're doing. So the point is that the happiness that we are seeking, the miseries that we shun, they all come into being, but it depends on the causes. They are not really created by anybody else, external agent. It's who you own the mental habits, the mental tendencies, the mental actions which are responsible for these things. So therefore, knowing that I want happiness, we should be able to provide that happiness to yourself by engaging in those causes and conditions which are responsible for giving rise to happiness. And if you shun the miseries, we should be able to engage. We should be able to dissociate yourself from those causes and conditions which will otherwise give rise to miseries to us. So the Buddha is saying that finally you are the benefactor of yourself, you are the savior of yourself. So you should make sure that you are in a proper track, that you are in the situation where happiness, you encounter only happiness, and then you shun the miseries. And of course, this path that you should tread on, this path is something that we need somebody else to guide us, but nobody can do that for us. it is that we have to do it ourselves. Then the Buddha is there, enlightenment is there to guide us. But the reality is that finally we are the ones to really tread on this path to happiness. The Seedling Sutra, the Sutra on Dependent Origination, the Buddha was talking about dependent origination of various kinds, dependent origination of the external world, dependent origination of the internal world. So first with the internal world, say how the beings, internal world meaning the beings who are born, who take birth in this universe. So these beings, like for example the human beings, the gods and goddesses, the animals and so forth, how they come into being. So the Buddha said that they come into being only by dependent origination. Only by dependent origination, by dependence on their respective causes and conditions. Knowing that the beings, the suffering beings, they come into being, but depends on the causes and conditions. The Buddha then taught us as to how to eradicate those factors dependent upon which the beings are born in the state of miseries. And then by eradicating those causes and conditions, then the beings achieve the state of total awakening or the freedom from suffering. And then when you see that within yourself, then by seeing that this is how I should be liberated, then you extend the same thing, extrapolate the same thing to other beings, then automatically the compassion comes into being. So you then one generates compassion, seeing that the other beings, they also come into being by dependence on the other factors, and then the compassion grows. And so this is how the aspiration, the sense of renunciation, and the practice of compassion come into being. The next one is the dependent origination of the external world. How the external world consisting of the five sensual objects, like the external objects that we see, the sound which we hear, and so forth, and in short, the world in which we live. So the question arises, how this world come into being? How does this world come into being? How do the things that I like to partake in, how do the things which I like to shun, how they come into being? That is being explored. And so the Buddha said that they all come into being only by dependence on the respective cause conditions. They never come into being independently of any other agent. They only come through with the cause and condition. Given that these things, they come into being by dependence cause and conditions. Cause and conditions means the cause and conditions, say the substantial cause should be there, and then aided by the cooperative conditions. So these together, then they change, and the effect is given rise to. And that effect again serves as a cause, again with the coming together with the other factors or the conditions, again the next result comes into being. So we see that there's a constant change happening. So anything which is of the composite phenomena should necessarily follow the principle of impermanence. So this is where the Buddha taught in great length of the impermanent nature of all the composite phenomena, and then with this understanding, knowing that the things, they come into being by the assembly, by coming together of the factors, the causes and conditions, the substantial cause and the cooperative cause in the form of the conditions. When they come together, then our mind imputes something in the air. What is really there is just the cause and conditions coming together, and then our mind imputes something there as though like there's something there. So in actuality, it is what you are seeing is nothing really there as objectively existent. It is just what comes to your mind. So in other words, if the Buddha is talking about how things don't have objectified reality, how things come to being simply through subjective imputation. So this is, for example, say when we see the doors, windows, ceilings, floor, walls, and so forth, these parts, then our mind designate as one entity known as a house. In actuality, besides these small parts, there's nothing there as a separate entity as a house. Likewise, we see somebody, the 2 feet and the limbs and the body moving there, these limbs moving there. Actually, these are nothing but your parts. So these parts, they move, then our mind designates, this part is walking, this part is moving, this person is moving, this person is talking. So what is really happening is just a part of that, the parts of that the person, they are operating, and on that basis our mind give the designation as an entity, something different, as though like independent, objectified phenomena there. In actuality, besides what our mind imputes as one entity, as a person of the house, from the object side, there's nothing there besides the parts. So this takes us then from the understanding of impermanence, takes us to understanding of the emptiness or the selflessness, and then pertaining to how the suffering is given rise to by the assembly of the causes and conditions. This will take us to understand the suffering nature of the beings.
No, that don't go. That's what I'm not with. That the subject with the number 2 might be called. That was all that is here. Oh, the Kasoda. Judah, you Korande, Midawa Yeshe. You dig in Giroche and Tribuke was called Mato. You did that was there. You did that what a duke in the Koratsu to younger set in the Yomara. Today, today, Chame, number don't win the cut the other. The Chame to the tower to the Churu, and it's some Jazamula to the city, killing Yomara. Now, today is cheap Kasoda. Oh, Chito sex or touch it. Tabachi ever says, Kosem Mene, Koya Kangaya, 투영 그래서 거기서 요 말이데 강가 뒤지질 거야 그 코나 따버리세요. 이제 제바보 따고 요래 되게 삼타는 sögresera och det så kan killen komma där så kul med där var så det kul så tama mer med då tama ju shaje den jambul dire så ko tamu chaya te det vara men det kul med mara du ser med där var du ser ju så det så på så långt det ser du ser ni kul då så så la chaya gora tina cotinelia kul med mara du ser det så kul var då det och kanske det Julia Toma Kayo Mare, Casa to the Toma Mavasera. Nobody to the Cotin to the Cotingel, sitting and she joined the wish and the Kerama, the Tamuka, and Mavis Tavashe, and take Kavia so the ticket and Yomara. Mutico Mikumi was 10 dream of your code. Or tea in the two tower ten, David Tower Saint Yoda. Tea in the good and gang there was on Medavada. 나게tin 저 삼고단도 동야와셔라 동야와셔 근데 다음에 가서 라운에 다도 용신에 용 말이셔 어떻게 세우도 디스funcionan 죠
The unique presentation of the Buddha's teachings is that the things, the composite phenomena, they necessarily should be the impermanent nature, that they must come to being by dependence on their respective causes, and otherwise the contemporary to the Buddhist Shakyamuni, there were a great number of the philosophy teachers, or the religious teachers, who say that when dealing with the question on what is the origin, what is the ultimate cause of the world. Some say that it's a time. Time is the creator of the whole universe. And some say that it is this world is constituted of the very tiny particles which spread across the space. These tiny particles, they come into being and then they form different the external objects. So the Buddha does not really agree with these two positions. And then there were the other the teachers or the teachers who talk about how there is what is known as the entity meaning the creator entity which does not have mind, but somehow it creates the all phenomena. So this is also referred to as Prakriti. This is also rejected. This is also not accepted by the Buddha. And then some philosophers or the religious the teachers, they talk about a permanent entity as the final cause of all the problems, of all the everything in the universe. So all these positions, the Buddha said that the things should necessarily arise by dependence on their cause and conditions, not otherwise, not by means of another permanent phenomenon. So if the causes, just as the multiple causes involved to give rise to the results with the multiple facets, we see that they cannot be a beginning. So, for example, even the world, we see that the world, if you track the cause of the world, this world came into being from the last years. Again, the last year's world came into being the year before that. So if you go like this, we see that there's no beginning. And this world, particularly this world, if you are to ask whether or not it is a beginning, sure it is beginning. This world, but then this world, if it started from point A, time A, so it is not that it's from nowhere the world came into existence. It came into existence as a world, this particular world, but then there must be a cause to that. So that cause again should have come from another the world systems. So this is how we see the reality of the beginninglessness. Likewise, for the world of the sentients, the human beings, the animals, and so forth, sentient beings, what we see somebody is today's being, we see that this person should necessarily come into being, but depends on the cause and conditions which preceded that object. And if you keep going like this, keep tracking the early causes, we see that it is beginningless. So this will take us to understanding that only it is the impermanent phenomena that will give rise to the results. So therefore they cannot be a cause which is permanent in nature. It is only the impermanent phenomena which gives rise to the result, and that this impermanent, because of this impermanence, we then come to see the next reality of how when we are under the influence of the causes and conditions to give us a result, we see that we invariably suffering. The suffering comes to being because we don't have the choice. We lack the freedom. Lack of the freedom is the miseries. And then from this, we also come to know how things don't have an intrinsic entity there, how things don't have an intrinsic nature there, rather they all come into being through subjective imputation. So this summarizes the Seedling Sutra about the impermanent nature and the suffering nature and the emptiness nature or the selfless nature.
뭐야? 당연히 내 자가르게 또 해야 되잖아. Arya Śālistambasutra. 남세 Mahayana Sutra. Tibet 파큐나 파고서로 잠시 저 택마션도 오세. 산지의 자주선부 탐지를 차서로세. 다디 로자하고 산지의 연수부 탐지 차서로 도대 명디를 시작해서부터.
Okay, so we see that if you read the text, it reads the noble Mahayana Sutra, or Seedling in Sanskrit, Arya Śālistambasutra Nama Mahayana Sutra, in Tibetan, Papa Salu Jambe, Sheja Betebachimbuto, homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So this line, homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, this is added by the Tibetan translator.
뭐야? 난 되게 다그 저거 뒤집나. 좀 전에 개벽하고 자고 공부해라. 경험지 컨디션보다 그런 동이 경험지 경험지 컨디션보다 장주선의 컨디션보다 탑재도 쇼대에서 다 이게 링시스도 와. 링시스가 내들에서 특성화세라시. 근데 좀 전에 사전들이 쇼대에서 코드들이 시제 Tambulling Shisel do Atelia. They get out of a teaching us to do Chiglas, and then John then their cautious gave you covers. Jago Pungu really show yours. They call solution Chanju Sembata, and they call it Kinduda Chanju Semba Mabush, Chanju Semba 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 Rato Mabutata, touching to show theirs. That on the link she's can't get it to do in the Chile, John then the cover shows a court content in the orders. The link she's do a teaching.
The first part which reads, thus have I heard at one time that Bhagavan was residing on Balchip Peak Mountain in Rajgriha with the last Sangha of 1,250 bhikshus and with a great many the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. So this is what is known as laying the framework of this teaching, how to see this teaching, just narrating how this teaching came into being, saying that in terms of where this teaching happened, and then who are the entourage members or who are in the audience.
That the Geshe, the one Yeshe Kanga, no there is a Sigdua. One Yeshe, and there's somebody near Peshanos, the Geshe, or Junju somebody. Target Turba said, Mara Rangi Kadul Tursumato, Shendachi Sanjay Turti, Nalisha Tinte Maris, Sanjay Kadul Party, Yensera, Target Turbas. Tuchina said, Tuchi Galia, Jum Dedication, the Church Song, Tuju Shangali, Send the Church of Skindale, Koyasari. Yanam Turba Kawa, the Tuchilia, the Church Song, Turba de Kalikabutan and Legit in the Church Song, the Chane de Sera. Can you jump there? The Susa Kavadas, Gabu Cups, yet. That Gabu Cups had the Luigi Tombs in Gudua. Oh, the Gabu, you say, Lombatil Mema Bushor, Any Gabu Katanje, that change a member, Tombasunal Meshotuna, and if Totu usage, and the things like Gabu Copses, the Totu instead of some in Burisha. Take Chevakaja, take Combacaja, they will use it out. You go on Gabu, put on a member. Member design, Gabu Koran, down there, cut answer the Tim Song Mari, Madame Tim McKinney, Marisha, Gabu the tape, and teach a little Tombachi, you learn what kind of person Gabu Cabda in Sigdor. Gabu Cows, the Casual, the Gabu Cups. Jabu Bunga said, Gabu Cup the Tongi Chida Mimaka, said. Jagu Pungu, Jagu Pungu said, Yan, but you can do it at the Deshu tradition, Sarto. So Tiniga, your service. Chunga Jagu Pungu. Jagu Pungu is a little Jagu again, daughter W. Veshane, the Desachi, young member, Rito to the Sanje Sonjabadi, but Tembo, Ribada to the Kagi and never to that. Moi nezi da tuben September koya tandala riji sutwa. The chabu said, Chabu de Tombolia Dinjako, Tombani English over said, Tinde, the Neza Tombo with it, Pesare Tinde Koyatawa. Chabu Pombe last. And then court carriers and they Chabu Pombe Keloma, Buchida Keloma Boyores. Mobe, Chanjus and Bekindu Maboyores. Kelo, Tony Janga to Kelo, Kindu Chambuda, Chanju Sambe, Kindu Mambuda, Thabkhe to shoot what to do, change to shoot our races. Okay.
Yes. So when it reads, thus have I heard in one time, thus, so this word thus, thus indicates that all what I'm going to say below, what I'm going to narrate below, it's not just the one line, but the whole body of the text, which I'm going to recite. This is what is included there. And I heard, meaning that it's not something that I am paraphrasing somebody else, or I'm just hearing from somebody else. I heard it directly from the Buddha. I heard, and one time. So this has many connotations. One is that this is something which I heard at one time, which is so precious. I did not hear it on many occasions. Then the Bhagavan or the Buddha was reciting on vulture pig. So vulture pig, it has several connotations. One, the peak, or the pig connotes something which is very stable and grounded and very stable. And the vulture, it has again the several connotations. One is that just as vulture hovers in the very high sky, very high up in the sky. Likewise, the wisdom of emptiness, which is very profound, and only somebody with a very high caliber can understand it. And the Vulture's Peak mountain in Rajgriha. Rajgriha is there is some story behind this, that one time the king of this place, the Rajgir, this king, he sensed that some of the villagers, they have the house getting burned on blaze, and the king decreed that henceforth nobody is supposed to have the house on blaze. So if anybody, because of your carelessness, if the house is on blaze, then you should make your house in the cemetery. So this was what he decreed, and soon after he decreed the rule, then his own palace was on fire. So then the king, in those days, the kings, they were very rigid with what they decreed. So he said, okay, now that I already decreed it, so therefore I should follow this. And he also started to have his own palace in the cemetery. So that is how this Rajgir came to being, and gradually then it increased in size, and which then at one point it also incorporated the places, the dwellings for the bhikshus. So it says, with the last sangha of 1,250 bhikshus and a very great many bodhisattva mahasattvas.
Oh yeah. Tandi core de Kasur, Tony Jam of Jusera Chachan Gudwa. This Sanjay Chonde de Tamuche Sondisa, Chida de Sarna, the Corona Matuamardo.
Yes.
Techema to some shene, Corante Kasura, Che, Tidu Mambo Gangi, or Tibet to the Church or Chesondua. This one is the Koran, the number Sanjay Chinchu Chanded, the Sanjay Songan Geshe, the court of Yamdo Sapa. Sanjay Yangi Chagdua, the rich and the Tabitadua, Dina Leonashi. Then give some said, Kevachamburedua, tell the church on the third Korada, Koranga Tene, you are not get a share, Yamdo, Kitun the not getting to Sarah. Chilu, some said, I am, the church on Jeti, Sanjay Sungla, to something Bechani, only your young up to Sarah. Kaya will soon Sarah, Tadan nipping up to Sarah. E c'è Buddha Monge possibilità di che facciamo tenere riserva o teso treno di sceso già quando guardi teniamo l'uomo che si chiama delle so ti dice ne cambia che asciuti so c'è cambia che sono due se ne va che ci mara si ci sono.
So in terms of the number of the bhikshus, is the meaning the monks, is that initially the Buddha began with teaching the five ascetics, the five students. Then later on, as the Buddha's fame flared, then many teachers who themselves had their own students, they became the followers of Buddha, and then automatically, when the teacher became the student of Buddha Shakyamuni, then his students, like 500 students, 250 students, so they turned towards the Buddha. So this is how the large gathering came to being.
This one. Or that ling lang bas, the ling she ling lang bas, that Kajaya lang gorda. There's an accident that by Sherry, post accident that by Sherry, the Kasura. Don't them be messed the tempers on the Irishman in the Sedua, Jahamiki, Chawachet in San Yahu Gudua. Set the message under them, but she get the set of them bus. There was a player in the Shira, the Shira Chimidua. Set on them by Sherry Post. Then Sherry Bush said, Amadi Ming Chanakura, my Sherry Poyam and Sherry Ponesidua. Sanjus and Basamba Chambo said, Chambe Trevor Chave, Sajo Kala, Terrason de Chines, Chanjus and Basamba Chambo, Chamba Combe, Chambeto, Shindu, Namuda Comma, with your gangy, Tobache Tombu and get the Sonza, Chamba Susera. Tin Dulia, Sherry Poo, Tin Dulia, Shimbari Tatonda. Sanji of the church to do him by the song of the one. So, what much. Kala Terrason de Chine, Penju Yanda Bakar Jebe, Tam Namba Mamuchete, Penju Shibe, Sidumidri Kitchen Shed or Tindeshe Kitchen, Gigi Charge, Kushep, Tindeshe Sierra, Never says the Chanet Sere. No, today you got to live like Kurdos. And I'm good there, and the catch and sugar to the catch and Musoza, don't be in the Tade Mado, dance on Buddha to the Chemajo, Saka Terrorship Mado, and the children mother. Then I'm that to live on Tenco, sugar to nature, the catch and being better than to occur the assembly. Kudos. Then it's said that by Shadu, Chanju, Sambal, the Shadu will touch Sambal Kesha Karesana. Chamba Tang del Chomde de Solu Jamba la Sinese, Sanje Chomde de Solu Jamba de la Sine, and the Son Sera, Peloda, Lando di Sonso, Peloda, Sweet Agent de Virgin Aton, the Chuton was. Telesin, the desert agent there by Julia, the kick dosa, or the date not kill the Awaji Shibena, and the children edge Tongu de Soda. Peloda, Sweet Agent de Virgin Chuton, Sweet Chuton, the Sanjeton. Children, the Avotons, and then Sanjay get nearly sick with the touching, but then Sanjay see you are now. And then Sanjay Tongu, Sanjay Tongu, and the look on the biggest series. So children, Sanjay Tong, Shekats, and some day the charm is so at you nas, and some day the Matoke so much, and then Yamba says the shoe songs, conversation shoe songs, charm is so at you nas. Oh, Nicolas. Oh, take us. Some day the charm is on goodness. Chamba, the Origination because I went to the Caresta, Chamba Bomber Then the Deborah was a country secret, sure the country secret, Sunday the country secret, rest of the Tidua.
So then then what happened was that in the gathering there was Shariputra. It reads, at that time, Venerable Shariputra went to the place frequented by the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya. Shariputra, it is the name of the Arhat, and he was given the label Shariputra, the son of Shari. Shari meaning her mother. Her mother's name is Shari. And the Bodhisattva Mahasattva out of the Maitreya. So Maitreya is the respected for him have reached a very high realization pertaining to practice of the love and affection. And they had exchanged courtesies upon meeting each other. They both sat down on a flat rock. So the flat rock indicating that, to indicate that the discussion that two of them were going to have is something very precious, very important. So they just sat on the rock, and then the discussion started, the dialogue started. So it reads the next paragraph. Venerable Shariputra then said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya, Maitreya, here today the Bhagavan, gazing at a rice seedling, spoke this aphorism to the bhikshus. Bhikshus, whoever sees dependent arising, sees the Dharma. Dependent arising or dependent origination is a matter of English translation. Dependent arising, dependent origination, sees the Dharma. Whosoever sees the Dharma, sees the Buddha. Okay, so there, then the Shariputra, he initiated this dialogue, saying that the Maitreya, do you remember that today the Buddha, while resting, at a place, with a place near the rice field, the Buddha said that whoever sees dependent origination will see the Dharma, and Dharma is the teachings. The teachings, by seeing the dependent arising nature, then you see the purest of the Dharma. And then whoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. Whoever sees the Dharma then will see the ultimate reality. On that basis, then you will be able to remove all the mental defilements and achieve the highest state, that is the Buddhahood. So having said this, the Bhagavan fell silent. So the Bhagavan here refers to the Buddha. The Buddha just said it, and the Buddha remained silent. Then Maitreya continued asking, Shariputra continued asking Maitreya, what is the meaning of this aphorism spoken by the Sugata? Sugata meaning the Buddha. What is dependent arising? What is the Dharma? What is the Buddha?
Oh, Tegej me about that. Chajusumba Chambe, Chetan, the Bashara that will Tegej mess. That's about Sheribu Lajauda. Sheribu, Dilla Chumden de Chugitabo, Tamje Kimbe. Kilonda, Su Teji, the Vanjoma Tonga, the Chetongo, Su Chetonga, the Sanje Tongo, Shesum Batella, Teji, the Vanjoma Kanshanase. Don't Teji, the Vanjoma, the Carson, the stand in my land Jagua. You also shiver each other, turn to take your Adinma. You also shiver each other to us. You come in my dungeon to the shiver that in an. You also shiver each other to that shiver. Then you never join a Shejavani did that is not the Resora. Did you even did Jungla, did Kebes, did Kewate, count the Maribe King into Shina. So that's in my order. Did you even did Jones? Could I can't do Yona? And the David Jogu. Could I get the manner, David Yogumares? Could I get the Yona? I said, I guess some nada, my guess some nada, coque and goodies. Me, Shadaja, some town, the two Mares of Gara. Did you even did Jonla? Did Kebes, did Kese? Could he give us on that Kujin Korade, Kujin Ducha Sonza, and David cook Kujin Ducha was a kiwi or no? Did Kebes and did you other? Can't they say? Then did Jones at the number, you are maybe came at the choice at Tansura. Kugin Sansone King with another Kiros and the Makina like the culture came where cooking with this mission that some that Kiku use in a Kina, Kiku Mass and make it in the Maris. Couldn't King Sansone cooking with this. The you are maybe a candidate in the Chuasilva. Did give it in did get the good I can't correct the Midabacha Mamuja saw any deputy care with the Seduza, Midawa to make in a Chuasilva. No, but the Gucci Kanyang deputy took care of Mars. Could you mamma trouble at any tail drone, going to never pay any deputy I care for the silver. Till I Midawa to make it in the show. Kukura Midawa in with a good Eurasian, Kugin San and Eurasian and deputy Tongue mother. Kuta watch at our then driven a train your mother silver. The gave us in this case the Midawa to make it in the show as a silver. Kangdi Maribe changing to see the Tumu Maimba. Two Kanga ten Drebu Kanga Chig Mare, Ran Drebu the cage with Tumu Maimbe, Kutel attended Drebu the Kivis, Nuvegan attended Chuasuda. Tumu Maimbe never you were Kuda Can attend, and Drebu the Kekores, Kutamja de King Mares, Cancel attended Chuasa Shield and Diria. Now can not share your tower, that did the witcher. And the Kandi Maribe changing to just Tibet.
The text continues reading, paragraph 2, the third last line. Maitreya, what is the meaning of this aphorism spoken by the Sugata? What is dependent arising? What is the Dharma? What is the Buddha? How does one see the Dharma by seeing dependent arising? How does one see the Buddha by seeing the Dharma? Then the Bodhisattva master of Maitreya then responded to these questions. Then replying to the Venerable Shariputra, Venerable Shariputra, you want to know what dependent arising is in the statement made by the Bhagavan, the Lord of the Dharma, Omnishma. Bhikshus, whosoever sees dependent arising sees the Dharma. Whosoever sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. Well, the phrase dependent arising means. Now, the Maitreya is explaining what dependent arising is. Well, the phrase dependent arising means because this exists, that exists, because this is produced, that is produced. So here, Arya Maitreya is indicating the three, what is known as the three conditions. For cause and effect, we need to know what is known as three conditions. The first one is the unwavering condition. Number 2 is the condition of the impermanence. Then number 3 is the concomitant, the condition of the potentiality. Three conditions. So when it says, because this exists, that exists, that is the first condition, unwavering condition, indicating that for any composite phenomenon to come into being, should necessarily come into being, but depends on the cause, independent of a cause, we cannot really think of anything coming to being. Number 1, that is the condition of unwavering condition, that it must come to being through a cause. It cannot be coming to being randomly or by dependence on some external agent. Number 2, because this is produced, that is produced. Not only that it should be a cause, the cause must be impermanent. That is the condition of impermanence. The cause must be impermanent, saying that the fact that the things come into being by the cause must be there must be the multiplicity there. The cause, there must be plurality there. It must be plural. The cause must be multiple. It should not be just singular cause. It must be manifold causes involved that the results come into being. This indicates the condition of impermanence. That is to say, ignorance causes formations, or the formations, and the formations cause consciousness cause name and form, and so forth. So this one indicates the third condition, the condition of concomitancy, or the condition of potentiality, meaning that whatever the result comes into being, it must be given rise to the number 1, the cause, and the cause must be impermanent, and third, that cause must have the same nature, with the potentiality to give rise to that particular effect.
교단제발이 중앙식제 근데 다부 매베 견데 중앙식도 현다지 다부 지연이 되어야 게 많기 때문에 그렇지 깨나서는 되려
So there are two versions. One is the dimension of the 3 conditions, and another with 5 conditions. If you talk about the 5 conditions, then we add 2 more. The number 4 would be the cause. The things should come to being with the possession of the causes, with the possession of the causes. And then the next one is that it should be given rise to not by being possessed by another agent. So when the causes are there, invariably the results come to being.
강데 머리에 깬진 두지스도 다 당부데 코아 자와스님들 가이드 가르스네 소소데 다데 내시데 머리밤 달을 친질로도 또 별로들 머리바스거다 머리바스데 미시바 참에서 말했다 미시바데 세드시고도 친질로 가서도 싸워도데 나오 삼상 나데 나라주 그다 깨를 때는 부부가마시로 소고제 셈제 소라제 누시제 남바시와가 요라 때이나티 나텔 땡제 될네네 다시 디두뇽게다 초아뇽게다 리기 판도 준비 체게다 깨와다 깨와다 나와트데 간사샤고라 때이나 가라서 삼레날 때요 말와 부부가불 땡제 되네 에는 가스와 따바sam이 삼선테로시 말와 나나라 여 삼비도와 땡에 소보데 땡에 셈제 땡에 초아데 땡에 삼로데 나데 텔로서리 지어 삼기도와 오 딜레스도 말이 바세도 나 라문에 요바세도 라문에 요바 셴다를 떼진된 텔레파 따바sam이 바 나가랑게 지여 삼딩에 소보 셈세 생기도 어디인데 나 라문에 요바 좀 바틀이야 나 라문에 요바 좀 봐. 아니 나의 지지 나의 마마 이동안 또 예시 각의 라문에 반지 비워라. 오 딜이야 말을 마시고도 다다 그러지 마셔야 돼. 근데 강한데 말을 봐. 어떤데 말을 봐도 왜 ken게 친질로 글로도 왜 ken게 도지 말을 ken게 말을 ken게 도지에서 니만 도지 빌래시그라니 근데 삼로 제대로는 나가 어디 고위에 뛰들면도 다와도 तुम्हें मेट्रो से तीतंदा छाड़दा यानी कोसम के चावल सोबिलेगा से कांका जुडोरा तोदा नांजिदा तंजी के वहां के छाड़दांगी थी चिगरा नाए से यानी शानदार बा खाद्य से ने बचे के तावा से मारे पासे शिशा से नाए से ने तावा थी मिटन बतल तावा के छाड़दा से तेलतेंता क्या कांका इंगोरतो 어디 누가 소래 두지 기계기 넘버 쉐바세 머리에 깨진 두시시 아니바 두시게 레드 치고라 두지 기계 넘버 쉐바세 레드 네바데 남실 샤비오라 셈비텐도 공도당가제세 깨와다 미케 레사네 네바데 셈비텐도 테비오도 그 숨바 남시세도 티바데 제쇼나
Yes. Then it continues reading. This is to say, the first line, page 8, the first line, that is to say, ignorance causes formations, formations cause consciousness. So here the ignorance, what causes us, what causes all the miseries, undesirable things for us is this ignorance. It is the misconception of the self. It is not just the lack of awareness of the reality of the self. Is a very active state of distortion of the reality of self. That is referred to as the self-grasping ignorance. So, this self-grasping ignorance, how we can see that within us is that while the reality is that we as a person the I as the person, is nothing but constituted the five aggregates. When the five aggregates operate, on that basis our mind simply designates that I'm operating. But when we see ourselves, we don't see ourselves as operating simply because the five aggregates are operating. We see ourselves as something independent of the aggregates. So this sense of the I to be independent of the aggregates is known as the self-grasping ignorance. So this self-grasping ignorance is responsible for creating all the miseries. So that is like the trigger point for all the miseries. And along with this feeling of the I, independent I, then we have a sense of independent mind. Sense of I and mine. These two are responsible for giving rise to the afflictive emotions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth. And these emotions, they give rise to the contaminated karmas. So when it says here, this is to say the ignorance causes formations. Formations here refer to the contaminated karmas. So the contaminated karmas are accumulated. Then the formations cause consciousness. So, see, whatever the contaminated karmas are accumulated, these karmas are then, implanted in a mind, in the consciousness, in the form of imprints.
Also, that and the quote, now Nyambang and Jisu Shimwe doing it, I hear you with the teachers, social demon, teachers of condo, you would travel with Kanga and Gura. Do you want anything? Maybe I don't. Kanga and Gura. Tayu Nation to say so. Now, sometimes Jisu Shimwe, and then I sometimes. So long, Chulu, Miri, my Lumbasher, Shaja Shimwe. Teda tima dijene, nada mete, namida mete, chijida mete, lumbata mete, chulu mete, sia, mete bechore suera. Ebe kanga, simje koraji kitu, chulu da chike ko kese kerum ko raje nga, nabase nga chiji chigi seke ke omara, nga lumbate jis raje ke omaro. Ta yene ko ngarajo ke seduchi kojo de ya omara sujo ser. There's a Kaganyota Kaviorta, not so young to Hura. Tomemari Beconella, even do see Lesa, Subanam Singa, you see a colon and Triangudua, Pawach Tivido Tibe, Pawacha, Maripatera, Pawatata, number of Kashi Mikashi Sesado. That is Chiliane, the Chachi Tividoa, and then they called it to Tividoa, or Tidico. Oh, the Jugagati were even to see Laja and the Subanam Shisha. Teacher and Shiva Minsus, Takiola, Missi Shasha. Meji, meaning around the Kiolan that the Shashi or so Shiva Minsus. And then Kevaseva Tati Churum, Kevaseva the Kuba Lambade, Shigalamuleta, the Seta Blora. Shigalamatelia. Kevaseba say, so Maverick is sometimes in good shadow. Manga Maverick, Roshi Mara, Maverick Mara, so would I send me the cover to your door. Send the message, send the now cover to your mother, Maverick Cherry Mara, in a Dala Sene, Medese and the Shasado. Yaji Yona Sada, so what you Yona, Toya Yona, Tandan the Shitana, some of the several good shadow. Kevaseba the Kuba Lambas, take any letter certain. Shiva Minsu, Kewalaje, Amadeja, Amekobinal, Namshiti left to Yoda.
Through our own life experience, we see that all the problems they arise from, first of all, creating a sense of I, mind, one, and then you, two. With the sense of this sense, self-grasping ignorance, viewing the self as independent there and others independent there, then one is bound to create a sense of attachment towards the self and aversion towards others. Then with this attachment aversion, then we engage in all the negativities, negative actions. For example, say when we are born, we don't have the choice we don't have the choice to take birth in a particular family, with a particular religion, with a particular background. But then it is, say, through the karma that one is born in a particular family, particular religion, and so forth. Once we are born there, we then tend to have a very strong sense of adherence to that particular, the group, the family, religion, and so forth. And on that basis, then the fanaticism, or the religious the biases, they all come into being. And then the moment you see that there's somebody who is different from your family, you have aversion, attachment to your family. The moment you see somebody with the religion different from yours, you have some aversion to that. Likewise, the ethnicity and so forth, and then the national borders, boundaries and so forth. All these problems arise from this, say, the ignorance of seeing one as very independent, and then the sense of mind, and then the you, and attachment, aversion, and then negative karmas, they all come to being. For example, say, in the Wheel of Life painting, we see that in the center of the wheel, there are the three creatures indicated there: the pig symbolizing ignorance, the bird symbolizing attachment, and the snake symbolizing the aversion. So these three emotions triggered by the self-grasping ignorance, and then these three give rise to the contaminant karmas, and the karmas are imprinted in our consciousness. And then the once that is imprinted, this karma imprinted consciousness, then we go to the 8th link. It may be a little technical for us. Number 8, which is attachment. Number 9, which is grasping. So there, attachment of the grasping. This is at the point when we're on the verge to die. At that point, we feel that now I'm going to disappear. I'm going to annihilate. I'm going to disappear. So I don't want to disappear. I don't want to die. Feeling that as the mind becomes less and less clear, you're feeling that you are disappearing, you are annihilating. So actually there is no annihilation. You simply change your birth from this birth to the next. So this is how the feeling, the desire, the craving not to be separated from this life. This happens. So then with this, then the birth, the number 8 and 9, the craving and the grasping, these two water or timber, the imprint of karmic imprint within the mind, which is laid from the consciousness, that is being tempered, that is being watered or nurtured by the step number, link number 8 and 9, to give rise to number 10, which is the blossom version of the karma, and then we give rise to number 11, which is birth. From the number 11, then the pertaining to the human birth. So you are then conceived in the mother's womb. So there you have the name and form. Name referring to your mind, and the form referring to the body that you have obtained. So this is number 4.
Oh yeah. Tadi la. Jabel. Olo so. Ode ana. Tadi ka so de. Shenja de yona na ye samsang de samlu de. Shenja so de seba so de sharo. Kotilia sem da pa shu de shenja kaga che le kale de shiwarba. Tien de tele seba se da de shas ko shenja se do. Ti yona ane tele ya ne ba chon so na kondu ti yongura. Shenja de mena kondu yongu marwa. Mi shanda je so so chala re ke che me tele ne ba che so na kondu sa da. Mi chala tele ha re che na maga re che no to mi ne ba che no ka bu yongura ba sa. Ti mena mi shanda tele che ne ke ha marwa ko a ke mo so to de te. So so ke ne ko na e sam sa shenja de za tele ne ba che ne kondu ti yongura. De sha ge che ne kondu ti yongura do. Ti me che ka de ma de fa. Min da shiba mingsu sera mingsu sida ming de sida mingi pungbu sida chowa dushi number shiba tila mingi pungbu sida sobu tila sugi pungbu sida mingsu chiri ba pungbu sida tila dwa shiba mingsu sida ane ngaba kechi sida ti chiri ya ane ame kogwa na chane migda na wambu tu tuwi sida kali mingi kechi nawa kechi na kechi sa lu kechi sa tuwi berwa no choy kengi kawale sota kechi chera kechi tu se tingura kechi tu gi kengi ne regba kengi choa se kechi tuku kengi rekwa che. Kechi tuku di chundu, ane yu da ta nivu da che tu za rekwa ase, ta reksina, ta nivu le tu za ane rekwa ase, yungu do. Rekwa di chunsu na ane, chowa di yungu ro. Yagu chindu na, di kuku du samsa. Tuku chindu na, mugu du, di yagu mudu san, mugu samsa na, ane di yungu ro, chowa tungi yungu ro. Kewa mewa chinu chowa tangi yungu ro. Rekwa kengi chorwa ase. 초래 경제 세바세 초 야가래 중수나 어디 거기도 삼제 일레 현자 숙성부지 그래도 두어레즈도네 때다 깨나 삼제 양고 세바 숙성부지 그래서 세베 경제 렘바세 세바 중수나 에테 고야 삼 랭고 삼자 랭도 삼로라 톰도 삼로 튀고라 숙성부 용거도 렌데 경제 세바세 세베 경제 렘바세 렘베 경제 세바세 and the language sometimes Johnson, not give us a cover ambassador, singer, Yogo, the Poya Yogo, Sobo Yogo, the Samsa Tendusa, and teacher give us him the Siba Koa the Kiwiato. Give us the Siba Siwada. So the generation down to Lembe Genji Siba chair. Siba Genji Kawasher. Siba said Chuba Siba led the Sigara. Gaba seba je kuba lemba shane ni masa shebe kidigile de shukchabu shane siba kwa de duchojo shigora siba se de le de de sana kewa de de neba to sigri se ticha ne siba shminta do siba se le de re shuba siba siba ke gene kewa de ta kewa ngone kawala gina pame ame ko bole kivina chuji na kan ti kewa do kewa se siba ke kewa ro siba ke kewa se Sebe kengi lam. Lembe kengi siba che tete che. Sebe kengi kyawa che. Kewe kengi ne ta ya ke da nyame che da ndima de chundu kondu sa da ngoya de ke da kanga yugo do. Kewe kengi kashi da nyame da minga do tunge chunga ne kane tuge shoni che te che re de do. Tunge wa da ye me do. Tunge wa so sobe 동해 요하토서 나차 요하토로 동해서 이 메테오스도 소sembe 삼루단제 sembe 메지로 소셔도 이 메테오다 투번남 중에 대다 동해지 풍부바시바리 중앙조 대전에 과거에 동해지 풍부바시바리 중앙조로서 바시바시아데 tello rawe da게요 말해서 풍부나버데 연구를 tello 트서파 르다고 말도시 rawe 다요 말해서 티레도 시버도 치수나스
Okay, we continue reading this. So this part is a little technical, where one is expected to have the background in the Wheel of Life teaching. So to make it very quick, we are reading this one. This is to say ignorance causes formations. Formations cause consciousness. Consciousness causes name and form. So this is once the imprint is laid and the imprint of karma is laid on a mind, consciousness, then what happens is that at the time of the birth, next birth, because of this karma, so next birth you will have this physical body of the next birth and the mind which you brought from the past life come together in the form of the name and form. So name and form, to know this, we are constituted of the 5 aggregates: aggregate form, feeling, discrimination, composite factors, and consciousness. So the physical aggregate of form comes under the form here, and the remaining 4 aggregates, they come under the name. Then so with this, then what happens is that the name and form cause the 6 sense sources. So this is still while you are in the mother's womb, in the beginning stage, and then you develop it further, where the senses, the 5 senses, they come to protrusion. And with these senses, then slowly the senses, they will come in contact with the respective objects. They're still in the mother's womb, respective objects, contact with the respective objects. For example, your eye sense comes in contact with the visual objects. The ear sense comes in contact with the sound. With the contact, then the contact causes a feeling. Once you come in contact with the object, then the feelings arise within you. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. The pleasant feeling gives rise to craving, attachment, so forth. Unpleasant feelings give rise to unhappiness. Neutral feeling gives rise to the neutral response. So the feeling causes craving, number 8. Craving causes appropriation, the grasping or the appropriation, number 9. So the craving, so that is now the craving and the grasping, the appropriation. These two are the links we experience when we're on the verge to die. So there, what happens is that we have two forms. Same, of course, there are many versions, but there are particular two forms of the cravings that come to us, where you have the craving not to die, you have the craving to possess the body, to possess a life. So these two cravings become very intense to the extent of appropriation. Appropriation meaning want to possess these. Appropriation causes becoming. Becoming here refers to the karma, number 2 karma, which is being nurtured by number 8 craving, number 9 appropriation, to become the full-fledged or the germinated version of the karma, which is referred to as the becoming here. And the becoming causes birth. So this germination of the karma will then project you to the next birth. And this birth then causes aging and death. And the sorrow, in terms of in the process of the aging and death, then the sorrow, lamentation, suffering. Suffering refers to the physical suffering, and that despair referring to the mental suffering and bewilderment. Thus this entire great heap of suffering arise from this ignorance. So when it says does this entire, so entire, this English translation is in Tibetan, it is bashik. Bashik has a connotation, the mere. So the mere has a connotation that the self which goes through the heap of suffering, this self is nothing but merely the 5 aggregates. And on the basis of these mere 5 aggregates, then the sense of self is created by a mind. Okay, so with this, we will come to coming to the end of the first day teaching, and will continue tomorrow at 5:30, and we will end with the end derivation prayer. Patrona, you want to recite the end derivation prayer? You have the book? Okay, page number?
Page number 28. Let's turn to page number 28. Additional dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Jenrizik Genzin Gyaltso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in the 3 times, so that I may perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Janju Senjo Rinpoche Mage Bana Ge Gyurje Ge Banya Ba Me Bayang Gone Gondu Bewa Show. May the supreme bodhicitta that has not a reason arise and grow, and may that which has a reason not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exceptions into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teaching and realizations. May I, in all life, through the force of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path: renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the two stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of the practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of Buddha, Dharma, and the beings of the snowlands. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of human beings who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teaching of the Buddha be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the three jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages in the past. May I quickly attain the state of a Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Thank you.
Okay, we'll make 3 prostrations, and after prostrations, let's make up the way for the Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche to pass by to his house. Okay, 3 prostrations, and tomorrow, 5:30.
No.